Hello everyone and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show, where I try to help you spend your wine dollars wisely. And yes, it's been a week since I put out an episode. A busy week last week, a lot going on. Just could not put one together. But this is perfect timing because we have Thanksgiving coming up in just a couple of days. It's this Thursday, this is Monday, Thursday. I hope to put out 3 episodes that have to do with Thanksgiving wine. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. Why not? Perfect timing. Aside from the fact that everybody waits till the last minute to buy wine for things, not everybody, but most people wait till the last minute to buy their Thanksgiving wine. But the cool thing about Thanksgiving is a lot of people drink wine that don't normally drink wine. It's one of the biggest wine holidays of the year. It's one of my busiest times in the winter, fall for wine, and it's just exciting. It's an exciting time. A lot of people asking questions. What do I drink? What do I have with this? What do I do with that? And there's 2 schools. There's a school of people that have a lot of people over. They just want something that's good but not expensive. Then there's the other school of people that they look at it as a special time to spend a little bit more on a bottle of wine for that holiday. Both schools are okay. There's no hard and fast rules. I understand the first one because you have a lot of people over. It can be quite expensive. The meal itself, the meal alone is expensive enough, and then you throw in expensive wine, it can become cost prohibitive. But, both schools are okay. I mean, I kind of go in the middle myself. It's weird because in my family, very few wine drinkers. But when I saw my brother come into the store and ask about wine, I knew it's true that even people that don't drink wine will drink wine on Thanksgiving. Just a quick shout out to my sister, Deanna. Love you. Happy birthday. I know it's been a couple of days, but I didn't get a video out in time to do it live on your birthday. Also, I'm very congratulations to my daughter and her husband. She found out she was pregnant, so there you go. I'm not going to say how many grandchildren I have. It's already a lot, but I love my grandkids, and another addition to the family. So I'm excited about that. We're in a Husky jersey. Apple Cup's coming up. Should be another Husky victory in the Apple Cup. The Cougars are good this year, so we'll have to see. Excited about the Huskies, though. They are going to be a team to reckon with next year and the year after. A lot of freshmen. They're really good. They're very talented. They've won some key games. They've lost some. They haven't had a great season, but I look forward to next season. Seahawks won. Not wearing a Seahawks jersey, got my can, but Seahawks should have beat San Francisco. I wasn't even worried about it. My prediction for that game was 31-14. It turned out to be 13-29. Pretty close. Pretty close. Pittsburgh coming up. I'm going to that game. I'm excited about that. Anyway, let's get started. So we're not going to really do a particular varietal. We're just going to look at, and part 1 is going to be 2 things that are really a big part of Thanksgiving meal. Sparkling wines and Pinot Noir. And let's get started right off with the sparkling wine. Got that backwards. There we go. First one we're going to go to is a Cava, and Cava is Spanish sparkling wine out of Penedès. They use a lot of different varietal grapes in these, and they're not traditional grapes. Perlata is one of the main grapes, and now they're starting to use a little bit of Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, but they have many grapes that Xarel-lo, I believe, is one of them. Perlata. I don't want to say too much because I didn't really. I know maybe this says it on the back. That would be very helpful. This is Xarel-lo, Macabeo, and Perlata. Yes. So this is 50% Xarel-lo, 30% Macabeo, and 20% Perlata. Sure got that right. Yes. So those are grapes that we're not familiar with, so maybe you shy away from it. I don't know what that is, blah, blah, blah. Some are using Chardonnay, Pinot Noir. But this is $15. This is the Navarran Cava, and this is a vintage Cava, which you don't see a lot. A lot of them are non-vintage, but this is a vintage Cava, and this rolls in at $15, which is very affordable for a sparkling wine, and you'll find a lot of Cava for a lot less than that. But what I like about this is it's vintage. I've had it before. I've always liked this wine. It's got some of those qualities that you see in champagne, and you know, for the price, you think about it, $15, and we're going to try it here. I'm not going to jump ahead of myself, but for $15 compared to many champagnes, you know, to get a good champagne, you're looking at 35 plus, 45, 50, sometimes more. I noticed that Veuve Clicquot, which is a yellow label, very famous champagne, a lot of people like it, has really creeped up in price recently. Kind of disappointing. It used to be more affordable, but now it's getting up there for whatever reason, popularity, supply and demand, whatever it is, it's really getting out of this world expensive. It's still under $100, but you know, for a lot of us, you know, when you're talking in the $70 price range, that's a lot of money, especially if you're having a lot of people over. So I like to go to Cava, because Cava is very reasonably priced. Let's see what we get on the nose. So this has that kind of yeasty marzipan bread dough, a little bit of almonds coming through, a little bit of citrus, a little bit of lemon. Yeah, the nose on this is so reminiscent of some champagnes. It is very surprising. And remember, we're talking $15 here. Let's see what we get on the palate. So this is done traditional method. In other words, they leave it on the lees in the bottle, they disgorge, they dosage, they do all that stuff that they do in champagne, and yet the price is just ridiculous. So what you get is you get, sorry, I was just reading the label. Gotta be careful in that. You guys don't want to watch me reading labels, right? You want to hear me talking about the wine. This, you get that yeasty kind of, this has a little bit of a sweet edge to it. I get a little bit of fruit on that. Now, I wouldn't call it sweet by any stretch, but you get that nice clean, like ripe lemon, a little bit of ripe grapefruit coming through. And that kind of bread dough, almond, I mean, pretty incredible considering the price. The only difference I notice in this, right off the bat, is the bubbles are a little bit bigger in the mouth, on the palate. A lot of the really, you know, when you get up in the $40 champagne, 35 plus champagnes, you tend to not get that foaminess. But a lot of you don't swirl it in your mouth before you swallow it. A lot of them just drink it down. So you won't get that with this wine. But I noticed that on the palate. Get a little bit of minerality, nice citrusy, clean finish with just a hair of that bread doughy thing going on. $15, folks. I mean, think about it. $15, and you get this beautiful bottle of Cava. I'm going to go B plus, A minus on that. I'm going to slightly go towards B plus just because of the size of the bubbles, but you know, that's, like I said, that's not an issue with most of you. That come from. Okay, we're going to move on here. A little rinse. I hope all of you are getting excited about Thanksgiving. Some people, you know, there's a lot of people coming over. I love it. I love having family over and spending time with them, and you know, drinking good wines and talking and doing all that stuff. Watching football too, of course. Blue Mountain. Vineyard and Cellars Brut Method Traditional, so it's done in the Method Champagne. Okanaga Valley, Canada, estate bottled, $25. I've been excited to try this. I've had this for a while, and I've been really excited to try it. I love their Pinot Noir, and I love their Chardonnay. Now I get to try their sparkling wine. I only found this out because a customer told me he tried Blue Mountain sparkling wine somewhere. I go, really? So I asked the sales rep, and I got a bottle of it. This is a very interesting nose. It's very, very perfumed. I get like apples, big time apples. Apples with a little walnut going on, which is kind of curious. I like it a lot. And a little perfume, like I said, a little perfume element. Let's see how what we get on the palate. Wow, I'm very impressed. This is very dry. It reminds me a little bit of Roeder Estate out of California. But it also reminds me of a lot of champagnes I've had, grower champagnes, where you get that really nice bright citrus and apple flavors coming through with a little bit of that kind of nuttiness that's there. But this is very clean. This is a very clean champagne. I mean, like, totally clean. Yeah, okay, right there you get that marzipan kind of bread dough thing going on the finish, but it's very clean. I mean, I like that about, I'm kind of a sucker for really clean, citrusy sparkling wine. I love it. I like the Navarin a lot. I like that. It was clean too. But this is even cleaner. This is crisp, fresh, bright. You could have this with oysters for sure, but so we're talking Thanksgiving. You know, you're cracking a bottle after the meal or before even, and you're munching on some appetizers. This would be a beautiful little champagne. Excuse me, sparkling wine. And you know, I never get on anybody for saying champagne, even though it's not from Champagne, because it's just I know for the Bureau of Champagne Protection, you know, where they protect the name Champagne, I understand. You're not going to get the quality of sparkling wine that you get out of Champagne that has to do with soils, climate, all that. And they deserve the right to that name. But I like a take Joe Roberts, one wine dude, had. He said, you know, there's another side to that. If they use the term Champagne for everything, then everybody kind of becomes aware of that name. There's two sides to everything. Sparkling wine, if it's not from Champagne, Champagne is if it's from Champagne. It's the proper way to do it. We all slip sometimes. I'm even getting a little bit of a peach component coming through, which is really nice. So there's fruit on this wine, but it's very citrusy, dry on the finish. I like it. Yeah, for what, 25 bucks? I have to go A- on that. It's very good. Okay, there's your sparkling wine. You know, both really good values. 25 bucks if you're one of those guys that maybe you want to do a little bit special on that special day. You want to go a little special. You don't want to go into the champagne prices. This is a good play. I mean, it's a really good bottle of sparkling wine. And then, of course, the Navarin. How can you argue for 15 bucks to get that quality of juice? Very, very good. Now, let's move on to another wine that is very popular for Thanksgiving. That's Pinot Noir. And the reason for that, of course, one of the more famous grape wines that is released every third week of November is Beaujolais Nouveau, which is from the Gamay grape, which basically is from Burgundy. It's from southern Burgundy, and it's become quite a tradition to have Beaujolais Nouveau on Thanksgiving. But very close, kissing cousins, is Pinot Noir, and the reason for that, it's a lighter style red. It tends to be has enough acid to match up with the savoriness of the meal, and I just want to. The only place I draw along with Pinot Noir is that it gets too acidic, then it kind of takes away from the meal. So you want to find a Pinot Noir that has a little bit of fruit, a little smoothness, doesn't get too acidic, and I think that's a nice match with Pinot. You want one, with Thanksgiving, you want one that's a little fruity, not totally dry, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Let's give this glass a little rinse. By the way, if you'd like to make a comment, would you rather see the tablecloth on here, less noise, I know what some of you feel about that. Or do you mind a little bit of noise? I kind of like that. I kind of like this, but I want to get your input. So could you make a comment? Do you care that there's just a little bit more noise? Does it bother you? Or do you want to see a tablecloth and mute all the sounds? Let me know. I'm not going to know unless you tell me. 2014 La Petite Pierre Pinot Noir. It's Saget La Pierre. They're out of the Loire Valley. This is a Vin de France, so it's basically a red table wine. No specific appellation mentioned on here. This rolls in at $14. Obviously, 2014, very young Pinot Noir, but $14, you know, is it worth it? Will it make a good Thanksgiving wine? Let's find out. Very light in color, you know, not what you'd expect from a Pinot Noir. Let's see what we get on the nose. I just get like very nice strawberry raspberries. It pops right off the glass. Get a little bit of bark, a little bit of tobacco. Yeah, let's see what we get on the palate. Nice nose. Now, if you're looking for a Pinot Noir for Thanksgiving, $14 bucks, excuse me. This is a beauty. I mean, it has everything you're looking for in a Pinot Noir for Thanksgiving. Very smooth. You have good cherry. Actually, a lot of cherry comes through, which surprises me since it had so much raspberry and strawberry on the nose. I get cherries and strawberries. That bark element is there, but it's very muted, very muted. Very smooth, very delicious Pinot Noir. It has a fruit. I really like this Pinot. I'm really very impressed. I'm just quickly looking at 12.5% alcohol. It's a low in alcohol, which is preferable during the meal. Doesn't have to be. I'm a big Zin guy, by the way, for Thanksgiving. We might throw some Zinfandel in there. I've already done that a little bit, but since we're on the 3 days before Thanksgiving, I think it'd be good to throw a couple of Zins in there. But this is just nice. Good fruit, very smooth, very polished. A little bit thin on the backside. Not really, though. Not incredibly thin. Not super complex, but this is a good, just like, throw it on the table, have it. I think everybody's going to like it. I'm going to go BB plus on that. Really do like that Pinot, especially for the money. Very good. Let's move on. Willamette Valley Vineyards, 2014, so same vintage. Whole cluster Pinot Noir. So there's different ways to do wine. A lot of wineries, not most, a lot of wineries will take the berries, they run them through a destemmer, then the berries go into a fermenter, and then the process of the yeast turning the sugars into alcohol happens. Whole cluster, they can do two things. They can take berries and without destemming them and put them in a fermenter and let them do their thing, eventually bursting the skins and making the juice without, punching down. They can take the stems off, do the same thing, a little bit more labor intensive. But what a lot of winemakers feel is that this gives it a very a different level of complexity and tannins when they do whole berry or whole cluster fermentation. Some people feel that if you throw the stems in there, it gives it a sort of herbaceousness, a green factor. Some people like that, some people don't. If you're a fan of Cab Franc from the Loire Valley, you like the green elements in the whole cluster fermentation. The other way they can do it is carbonic maceration, and true carbonic maceration, putting it into a sealed container with just carbon dioxide or CO2 and letting the skins do their thing, and the fermentation happens inside the berry, usually 5 to 18 days, and then they take it out, and they crush it, and then they do the yeast fermentation. Gives it kind of a fresh fruitiness. There can be partial carbonic maceration, which this goes through because of the whole berry maceration or process of fermenting. Some of the carbonic maceration happens inside the skins, bursting the skins open. I find that whole carbonic maceration sometimes gives it a little bit of a spritziness. The most famous wine that uses carbonic maceration is Beaujolais Nouveau. Gives it a nice fresh fruitiness, which is what you want for Thanksgiving. So this is the, I'm just going to zoom in on the last one. Sometimes I forget, I don't understand why. It's a flaw. There's a La Pierre $14, one I really liked, BAB+. Okay, there you go. Now, let's go on to the Willamette Valley Vineyards, $22, which I think is a very reasonable price for an Oregon Pinot Noir from the Willamette Valley. Okay. I've had this a long time ago, so I'm very curious to try it. Let's see what we get on the nose. This definitely has a deeper nose than the Saget. I get like really intense cherry notes. A little bit of perfume coming through. A little bit of bark. Definitely get the bark. Very earthy, almost savory on the nose. I'm getting definitely a red flower. It's kind of a cross between rose petals and violets. And a little, just a hint of vanilla, which is funny because this is all stainless steel fermented, so there's no oak treatment. Like the nose, let's see what we get on the palate. Wow. 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 What can I say? Wow. Very, very, I almost get a glycerin component coming through, which is very curious to me. A lot of pie cherry, I mean that really ripe, nice cherries, almost like they, not as sugar-fied at all, but you feel like maybe you're just scooping some pie cherries out and eating them, not the ones in the can, but I mean, your grandmother's doing this cherry pie and she's getting it all ready and you eat some of the cherries. Sans the sugar, no sugar, but you get that kind of sweet fruit from it, which is really cool. Very smooth, very polished. I get just a little bit of tannins on the backside, but not much, hardly any, just a little bit. The earthiness comes through, but the fruit it's almost like you bought the best cherries you could buy and you mashed them. I mean, these are perfectly ripe cherries with a little strawberry, a little hint of root beer. Wow, pretty impressed. If there was ever a statement about the 2014 vintage, this makes it. I've had this in the past. I do not remember if I liked it this much, but this is a crowd pleaser. This is a wine where you put it on the table and people might think you spent $40 or $50. It's ready to drink now. It's not, you're not going to age this wine. If you age it, shame on you. Drink it now. It is ready to drink. It might go a year. I really wouldn't want to take that chance. I would buy this up. If you want just a nice, easy to drink, delicious, well-built Pinot Noir, find the Willamette Valley Vineyards 2014 whole cluster Pinot Noir, $22. I'm gonna go A+. I'm gonna go A+ based on a couple of factors. They did it the way they wanted to do it. It came out the way I'm sure they wanted to do it. It's a fantastic vintage. It's only $22. It delivers a huge amount of wine for that price. It's definitely A+. You keep watching, and I'll keep helping you spend your wine dollars wisely.